Okay. This is I just want to write the code. So I'm going to start today again. As I left off yesterday, I don't get much spare time, so unfortunately, some of the stream time is the only time I do get. I'm going to start again today with doing some design stuff, like trying to figure out, what do I want this to look like? Really. Oh, ads, never mind. This is a challenge for certain. Build interactive project management Basecamp. Because again, what I'm doing here is I'm focused on the planning aspect of it. So I suppose it's more project management than it is kind of agile in this respect. Which means I don't quite fit very neatly in terms of what I'm looking for here. Social, enabling, disabling. Why is there no creating a new message? That's Basecamp. That's not going to do anything for me then. So I've got to take the time to do this, as much as I don't want to. So let me go back to my notes from yesterday. Right, where do I find that? Refer friends. Oh, yeah, I do have a referral link. How do I know what? Oh, new sites. Authentication, user management, and online code design and project management. Okay, so those are new. Productivity. This is not easy to do. Mainly because this is the boring part, right? For me, this is where I'm going to get challenged the most, because this is just difficult. Creating content, subscribing, creating account, project planning and hiring tools. So account management, adding and creating content, creating a project. So we went through that one. Adding a time entry, adding a new favorite, recurring project, invoice, project. Yeah, so I've gone through the workflows here. Things I like about this one, it's very clear what you're doing, right? The left-hand side is very much just navigation. There's no actual work stuff in there. Although the tracker is there. I suppose time tracking is becoming a thing, right? The whole Pomodoro. The dialogue is nice and clean. It's very clear what you're doing. So I've got to decide two things, right? What does my general layout look like? Because right now, I restarted my computer overnight, which is the first time in a week or two. Windows must be updated. You need an update as well. Awesome. So might as well update you. Do you need an update? Yeah, you need an update too. Do you need an update? Not yet. You know. So it's funny. I'm trying to share the process of developing software, right? I'm trying to share the part, and even the parts that I'm not, I know exist, but I'm not the expert on. I'm trying to share that on stream because I think it's important to understand all the little parts and even the boring parts, right? It's great to write code and stuff, and I'd love to have the talent to be able to put a UI together cleanly. You know, there's a lot of people like that. But like, I'm not generalist enough to be very good at the client side. I can muddle through, and given a design, I can work with it, but I'm not a creative person in that respect. So I'm left behind as far as design skills go. But I do feel I'm stronger on that back end piece. So just to try and give myself enough props to say, pardon me, you know, I'm not terrible at everything. I'll start this up. So the goal, what I want to get done by the end of today's stream is I want to kind of have an idea of what direction I'm heading in. If I can find some tools, like in my mind, I would love to find a tool that helps me lay something out the way, you know, the way I want to see it, and then I can take that and use that as markup. And Docker did not start properly. No, he didn't start properly. Broker. That's all I need out of that. It starts the full stack of Kafka, but I don't technically need it. 88. Okay, it is running in there. Okay. I forgot I put the UI in there, so I do have localhost 8080. Yeah, it's there. Okay. Oh, that remembered it this time. I didn't lose everything. Localhost 8500. Okay, so everything's still there. I didn't lose everything when it shut down cleanly. That should reconnect. So what's not running? Full stack. Just stop all running there. There should be 8. Let's get everything started up. So some of the areas I lack in my organizational skills, right? I lack in the ability to kind of track the things I want to do effectively right this second. And I need to improve on those things to be able to do better at this stuff. So I need to kind of figure out the best way for me to be able to keep track of, okay, here's what I'm going to do in terms of the app. And it's not just creating, I don't want to create stories because that's the exact problem I'm trying to avoid, right? The exact problem I'm trying to avoid is one of okay. New. Okay. Wow. OneNote is going very crazy. Add a page. Design notes. I'm just keeping a track off screen. So just trying to keep an eye on these things. So what do I like about this? Well, I like the menu. Right. Let's go full screen on that one. I like the menu down the side. I think that's useful. The time tracking thing is, I'm not really worried about that sort of stuff right this second. The pop-up, the dialogue pop-up is pretty clean. The ability to add the project up there and then be in the project is kind of nice as far as the workflow goes. I got a dislike on YouTube for this yesterday, which I don't. I would love for someone to give feedback on that sort of stuff. I don't like just the hitting the thumbs down because I'm doing something that's not necessarily coding specifically. You know, that's hard to swallow. So this needs to run. You need to run the software. That's just this is because nullables and not nullables, etc. Okay, so we always can sign in. We can go to a dashboard. That just sign me out. Let's find a bug. It's like I found a bug. Awesome. Okay. So got the application up. We got the thing. So this is too washy. I don't like the massive blue bar down here. I don't like the background here. But again, with it all being white, I think it just kind of blurs in, and I think I've got to spend a bit of time figuring those schemes out. So if I go back to I think, yeah, a bit more design work required. Okay, so I have said there's design work here. The code, the doc for everyone, smart, secure workflow builder. Workflow builder is not really. Knowledge management. Notion, we all know Notion. Finance is finally effortless. Employment hero. Basecamp, we already determined that's not perfect. So I'm generalized productivity. Auto AI meeting note taker and real time AI. A lot of AI. Search and discovery. To-dos, email, calendar, one and done. AMI. Presentation software, the future of consumer privacy. Rise. What all this should highlight, really, is just looking at all these apps, is that it doesn't matter if I'm reinventing a wheel here, it doesn't matter. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to be obscure and never get picked up, right? I'll have developed an application, and that's what matters to me the most, to have developed a large-scale application, even if it never gets used. There's plenty of calendars, there's plenty of note-taking apps, there's plenty of, some of these I've never heard of. And that's okay. They've got their own markets, they've got users. Some of them may go away quickly. Some of them may stick around for years and just be tooling along in their own little world. So let's go to CRMs. So the reason I'm dropping between CRM and productivity is because the kind of content is useful. Productivity, again, this is a productivity application essentially by the planning. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. So that's why I keep jumping back and forth between them. They're not really communication or entertainment. Maybe collaboration. Look at that afterwards. User Insights Platform, Sprig. Thank you for the look, appreciate it. MailChimp. What What's the one I was on yesterday? This is annoying because flows all where library. Okay, here we go. Library. Show all. Asana. So what did I like about Asana? I made a comment somewhere, didn't I? That would be useful to know. Hello. Library. Asana. Project detail. Starts on the right is interesting idea with the actions. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Status. From an initiatives perspective, the status panel, the right page. Right, so on the right of the page. Copy. Like the idea of the activity feed. Nice. It puts, when I copy the image, it puts, say, curated by Mobbin on the bottom. That's kind of cool. So here again, I like the dark. I do like the dark layout with the white panel in the middle, because it does focus you, but it also it doesn't make the screen one big washed out white block. So focusing in the center. So I kind of like this. I don't like, again, do I need to be big and chunky here, or can I be smaller and more concise here? I think so. I think it can be. So one of the challenges one of the things I need to do as well is here, I need to figure out how I'm going to make sure the style can be applied. And again, I do have the idea of switching, when you switch the modes, the actual UI might look very different. So let's just have a tinker with that. Color palette. Bigger. Colors. Yeah, you can have the cookies. It's fine. Sign in. Continue with Google. Okay, so tools. Create your own palettes in seconds. Let's go. So don't like that. Is there a way of filtering this? I don't want. Oh, go to Pro. Okay. Generate method. Auto. See, realistically, all I'm trying to pick is maybe the 3 colors for navigation down the side. I'm not trying to pick. Hello, Shy. How you doing? But I kind of like more bold colors. See, that's similar to toggle, I suppose. So we go back. Actually, I should probably at the point I should probably mark toggle track. Save. So, toggle's navigation is pretty good. Inviting teammates. So they've got, again, that. See, the thing I like about this as well is I like the fact that there's only the left-hand space here. You get full screen height on the right-hand side. So any bars here are related to the content in here. Whereas with this current version, right, I have this entire bar at the top, and I think if I make that, get rid of that, again, the account is down here. And if you've used apps like Jira, then Jira moves to the top right. Slack and stuff has the left-hand side. They do have something in the top right, though. Doing good today. Finally feeling kind of awake after an hour and a half. We visit earlier than normal. Yeah. Feeling awake's good. I've been up since just before 5 a.m. So what this does is it kind of moves. Let's have a look. How do I see it? Screens. My account profile. So what this does is it has this left-hand side. So notifications and stuff live down here. I'm not sure I like that, though. Being that notifications for me are going to be a significant thing. But this does give you the idea of this is your application, right? It's kind of your profile, and then like this will collapse that panel in. I assume those icons would then just appear down the side. I won't stay long listening, but still be in the stream. Gonna game a bit. No worries, Shy. What are you gonna play today? How's what's it called? Kina? I've seen you playing it. I dropped in a few times, but I just didn't get to chat. I like that game. I never completed it though. Okay, so pros. I like the Dart navigation. So again, if I'm picking color schemes, right, and I go with something like this, right, that allows the content to pop but not be too white. Yeah, it's a very nice game, isn't it? A very smooth game from what I remember. I played an hour or two of it. Okay, but I don't want to rip this off. This is more my color. So I gotta decide, am I picking what are they called? There's a word for it, right? Whether they're complementing colours or they're contrasting colours. You decide that, because again, I'd like 3 dark colours that are distinct enough in the same colour palette or in a similar colour palette that they could be used for different things. The graphics reminded me of the movie Wreck-It Ralph. I can see that. It's just a very smooth game from what I remember of it. See, they're not. Let's take that. We're going to have a tinker. So what we can do here is we have layout default, right? And then what we could do, I don't think there's much. So we have the layout default here. So what I could do is I could take the styles that are in style CSS. Move them. If I move them into default layout CSS, what happens? Font property font family does not have generic default. Okay. So that should... that doesn't work. Why doesn't that work? Because default layout should apply. Did I not include layout CSS? No. Default layout component.css. Why do you not apply? So the overall is applied, but yeah. And the little creatures are absolutely adorable. Yeah. Yeah, it's not a difficult game, but it is a fun little game. Bridges Kina Bridge of Spirits? Yeah. No pronunciation. It's sort of one I'd like to say properly, but yeah. Huh. The early prototype of the game was made in Unity, but then it moved to Unreal Engine. Yeah, most of those games, the bosses can be difficult, so yeah. Okay, so app component, so style URL, that's why. So the template URL there. Of course, that's not styles, that's style URL. I want that. So what I'm trying to do here is make a layer. No worries, Shay. Thank you very much. I appreciate the luck. So what I'm trying to do is I can create a different layout and tinker with that layout separate to what this is. So kind of theming the application as such. I just try to figure out what that looks like, but why you no work? Default layout component CSS. So I've got to learn things like, okay, the variables and stuff I get. Although maybe the difference is this all lives in here, and root. I see that now that changes nothing, because now all their styles are busted. So it's definitely making a difference. It's definitely HTML. Font size 22 EM. It's not loading that at all. Because then I changed the variables in the CSS, unless it's just the way the ordering, the loading works. You don't include style CSS by default in here. It just is included. Styles, source styles. Because everything loads through the default layout, right? Everything in here is loaded through default layout. So the idea would be, when I'm switching views, I would switch the base component. So the view here, landing, where is it? Not landing, routes. Yeah, so I have a default layout component. So that would be kind of, I'm not looking at theming, I'm more looking at this would be planning layout. And then if I had different routes, they could go into different, because again, these are just modules that are then sub-routed. So the modules themselves don't have to worry. Right, because they have, in these they have the home component. And the home component defines very little. Interesting. Role list. I mean, typo, but. So all I'm trying to do right this second is figure out, can I apply a style so I can start to tinker with the colors a little bit more. The layout, that's going to be a little harder. If I stick with what I'm doing right this second and decide not to use an entire library of components, so using a library, I've got limited options. Angular UI component libraries, right? Because material, let's have a look. Kinstar, PrimeMG. Okay, so Angular material. Has, I mean, it does have, it does have all the components I might need initially, right? It's got grids, it's got it's got dialogues, etc. But it just, I don't know, it doesn't look, it looks like a phone. So I'm not overwhelmed with Angular material. So component libraries, Angular material, it's the official component library offering a comprehensive UI collection. So, I mean, again, it is pretty comprehensive in terms of overall layout, but if I was building a phone app, it'd look okay. ng Bootstrap is an open source library built on top of Bootstrap CSS. Again, pulling Bootstrap in as well. Clarity, shared visual language across its components to provide a consistent, intuitive UI. It's also extensively documented through numerous guides. So, let's have a look. Clarity. So, Clarity is a design system. Figma libraries would be good, because then I can design the application. I've been thinking about using Markdown to HTML for a real site, host the API somewhere else, kind of thing. Huh. For your for the blog style site, so you can just convert things like headers and stuff like document content. Yeah. Well, components, data grid. I mean, the style's not stunning, but it's usable. Data list. Modals. Large modal. Extra large modal. I mean, that's kind of clean. I like the style. Password, progress bar, timeline, tree view. So it's got a lot of stuff. I don't see why it wouldn't work. And the nice thing about the blog thing is how quickly I can iterate since there's no code boilerplate in the way. Also, I get zero testability on my abstractions in JavaScript, so why use it? Yeah. Nothing else worth a try, right? Drop down combo bots. There's my badges. Anatomy, asynchronous combo bots. Pre-selected options. The size of it I'm not overwhelmed with, but I mean that could be changed. The default styling of it is a little bit meh. Labels. Still not at the stage of suggesting it at work. That's how it's sold. Oh, that's what you prototype for. That's why, again, you signpost. Okay, so clarity is not bad. Has everything I kind of want right this second. Could provide a kind of clean API, a clean design. Typography. Huh. 2 button sizes, default height and compact height. So overall, I kind of like this style. It's nice and clean. Alerts, accordions. Okay, so clarity's up on the list. Kendo UI, costs money. Prime NG, we're looking at over here. There you go, we'll move that into dark mode. Rambling Geek, good day, how are you doing? Nebula is a collection of 40 Angular components. Nebula's UI approach is based on the specifications of either design system, for which it also provides assets for teams. Also, so the concept of having Figma components to work with is very appealing from a design perspective, because I can use the Figma components to build a design that looks like what I want, right? So I can drag and drop things around and actually use the library that I'm using. Didn't get noticed you were live. Oh. I'm sorry. Do you rely on the notification? I don't think I can work from home. Every time I try, a little motivation. Too many distractions. Even I've actually spent some time recently trying to jump into BBB streams and stuff. I find I've just got to put something on that will distract me less, but will still be background noise, so I can focus. I have headphones in, so I don't hear road noises or the dogs. I actually have a camera for the dogs. I can't play music, sadly. I can't concentrate if I listen to music. But that's okay, because you can have those bursts of productivity. You got to stay focused on what you're trying to do as best you can. I like it when I'm busy. I like it when I've got actual stuff to focus on. I'm really bad when I've got nothing to particularly focus on. I have no problem with the discipline. You're a different kind of person entirely, though. Delta. You are a very driven, focused person, and you will. Yeah. My problem is if I get bored, I get sleepy. I meant that as a compliment. I did not mean that. Yeah, fatigued. Yeah, I didn't mean that as an insult in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so Nebula. What does a Nebula dialog look like? Open dialog. Okay, pretty standard. I like the style. I like the layout. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to, meet Deflux in the middle, because he was like, oh, why aren't you using a component library? And I'm like, well, I kind of am, but Tailwind doesn't have a component library by default. It has a kind of, you copy and paste the markup and it just works. Whereas with these, you actually have actual Popovers. I'm a popover. I'm a popover. Corporate's bigger. Cosmic. Oh, I like that color scheme. Dark. Default. Dark. Cosmic. There's actually a subtle difference in color there. So I like that. I also like this method. I've been using this more, using the templates to build the components out. Yeah, I mean, Rambling Geek, it's a difficult one working from home. It took me some time to adjust, and I do find myself messing around a bit more. I don't use my personal machine for anything work related. I have a strict work is work, home is home, and I have the monitor for work in front of me. My stream, when I watch streams and stuff, I'm off to the right here. So yeah, it's worth practicing. Work from home can be useful, especially when you do need to focus. Bottom toast. So I like the toast. Okay, so Nebula's in. Does Nebula have any licensing? They offer professional services, themes, design system. EVA design is implemented for 2 platforms. That's a little bit more worrying. UI Kitten. React Native UI, okay. I'm not dealing with mobile. Yeah, I only work from home when I need to. Like today, the car is getting serviced. Yeah. I think I'm at the point where I would like to go back to an office, but more important, I would like to work with a team. Like, I'm really, really missing team discussion and design discussion. Like streaming it, when people like Dota in here like talking about this stuff, that's the most engaged I am, and it's fun, but it's a very small part, right? So I really would like that as part of my day job again. So create custom themes, select a parent theme. Okay, so Nebula is interesting, and it's on version 9. Let's have a look. I don't want to actually start it, but it's been around for several years. It's been constantly updated. Angular, React, all Angular. Okay, so this is in the running. So Nebula and Clarity so far look pretty good. I think Nebula takes it over Clarity, if I'm honest. It's got all the components that I'm going to need. Nice. Tree grids. Am I missing it there? List, infinite list. Cards. I mean, cards are cards. It's not really difficult, is it? Card with lists, card with yeah. I'm not entirely sure cards work as well, so. I mean, if you're watching and you have any questions about what I'm doing, if you have any thoughts or opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to join in the conversation. This is what I'm trying to do for those that are new to the stream, is I'm trying to figure out what I want the application to generally look like, so I can kind of figure out some workflows. Right now it's using Tailwind. It won't be using Tailwind unless I move those back. But because it doesn't know about them yet. So it's using Tailwind, and it is working as far as components go, but it's not really working very well. So, and it's too cluttered. I'm not going to use this space up here necessarily. I'm trying to figure out what do I actually want this to look like, and how do I want it to flow, because I think that will dictate a lot more about the future choices than I first anticipated. So I'm checking on these libraries to see if they have licensing, because licensing isn't something I can necessarily afford. Things like it recommends here Kendo, right? Well, Kendo UI, unless they've changed their licensing in some way, shape, or form, is an expensive tool. I cannot afford $1,200 on a side project, right? If this was a business and I actually had the potential for money coming in, then that might be worthwhile as an investment. But yeah, $1,200 is not going to get me into Kendo. Prime NG, so this is the other option. So again, Angular components, we've got drop downs, we don't have a dialogue. Oh, we do have a dialogue. Panels, oh yeah, they break them up like this. A lot of controls. Component suites are kind of, how do I put it? They can be a bit hit or miss, right? In that they can be overly opinionated, which means that when you end up with when you want to do customization, you end up with a challenge, or they are so weak that you've got to build everything else on. So for me, what's taking me a lot of time on the UI side of things is I'm building Tailwind UI up, right? So I've got the Tailwind UI thing, and I can pull together the pieces. But then when I want to develop any components, I've got to develop a component. No, but core things like dialogues. Obviously buttons are going to be in there. Those dialogues are pretty nice. That's an interesting idea. But too many, and you end up with what you end up with is normally a very opinionated way of doing everything. So it's kind of, I like this. Okay, so Prime NG is looking pretty good. So we've got so far UI libraries. We've got Prime NG, we've got Nebula, and we've got Clarity. And if anybody watching has any experience with these, please feel free to jump in, because I would love to have more insights. So this is maximizable. Okay, so you can make it big. That's not bad. Dynamic dialogue. Dialogues can be created dynamically with any component as a content using a dialogue service. Oh, okay. So you can say, okay, make a dialogue out of that component. So you could actually pick and choose. Okay. So this is select a product. Require an instance of a dialogue service is responsible for displaying. So, okay. Overlay panel. Okay, so some pretty good components in here. Chart.js integration. Menu docs. That's not a bad idea. Menus are kind of clean. Mega menu. That's a term I haven't heard in a long time. Mega menu. Panel menus. So accordions or controlled. Templated. Okay, so you can have styles and stuff in there. Command. Defines the callback to run when an item is activated. Search. Print. Okay. So justify content. Panel menu model equals item star class. Okay. Router. Items in navigation are defined with template inbuilt to use a router link directive. Okay, so you can define a menu. Put the router link in there. Nice. So what I'm seeing here is quite a comprehensive library, and now that's a bit worrying at the top. Maybe that's how they make the money. Nice. Meter groups. In place. In place provides an easy to do editing and display at the same time when clicking the output displays the actual content. Okay. See, this style I like. I kind of like the idea of having a placeholder and then being able to click in and do something. That's not terrible. View data. Badges. And chips. Let's have a look. So getting started components. Figma UI kit, again, this is a very useful thing. If they offer it. If they offer it by default, having, there we go. That's not terrible. Choose the right plan for your business, whether individual. UI kit is available for affordable prices. So this is to get the UI kit components to pull into Figma. But if I could do that and design the application out in Figma, that's a benefit. You'll be able to download 2 Figma files for light and dark themes. UI kit is licensed perpetual, so it's a one-time fee. That's good. Yes, I can use it for commercial products. So again, being able to lay out pages with the actual tools I want to use would be of benefit. Theming. Okay. Colors are exported as CSS variables and used with the standard var syntax. Okay. That really... Oh, I don't like that when a menu entry pops out to a different page. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at their themes. Choose a product. Nice. Prime React, Prime. I love the Transformers thing. Because a theme would be the best way of getting me into it as well, right? So, as much as I want to design this, using an out-of-the-box theme would get me into the application quicker. That one's the one that sticks out so far. So this has the left-hand navigation with the top bar, so that still works. Full nav down the side. That's not terrible. I kind of like an expand or something there. A call out on this. I didn't see call out in the actual thing. So panel, stepper, tab view. What is that component? Because that's I do like this in terms of editing stuff. I like this. That's a pretty nice. Overall, that's a nice theme. For $39. Apollo layout. That's a very busy menu. Oh, there we go. I wonder if that other one had that. Prime blocks. Don't know what that's it. What that is. Prime faces. So it looks like the that's a little expensive. It looks like they balance out the core library with a significant set of options around it. But if it looks as good as that, then maybe that's not bad. But considering what you're getting, the time saving you're getting there, I think that would be worth it. Dark themed. Nice, and then you could sub-theme the actual application. That's not bad. Increase the scale. Menu theme. Top bar theme, transparent. Nice. So that expands collapses. It's not terrible. Okay, so Prime NG might be high up on the list. And again, I'd probably be willing to spend some money because it would be worth having something to work with out the box. Right, rather than trying to build my own template. I could always leave that till later, but at least if I have a template to start with, it looks the part and I can keep it looking the part. So Nebula isn't bad. Nebula is pretty nice as well. And so Clarity, I think, is definitely off the list at this point. So between Prime NG and Nebula so far. Theme support. Not sure why you need an authentication module for Firebase inside of your UI design library. Prime definitely has a lot more to it. And Prime is definitely not priced, right? Installation. Open source native Angular UI components, so there's no licensing challenges. Okay, so let's go through those. Nebula, NG Lightning. Interesting addition to the component library lineup being an Angular flavored implementation of the Salesforce Lightning design system. Nope. And Syncfusion UI. Onsen UI. Popular open source UI library for building hybrid and web mobile. It's very red. Apex, how you doing? Good day. So today, I don't know how long you've been in the stream. I've been looking at more design stuff. Libraries for framework uses Angular 2+. Well, that ages you a little bit, doesn't it? Come on. Okay. So limited components. Poor demos. I don't think Onsen's going to be it. So Nebula is an option. Prime NG pretty much has it down there. That's a big set of components to play with. Nice. Min-match, reactive forms. I'm not bad. It is I'm in the I really don't want to be doing this, but I have to do this sort of phase of this project. I really think it's worth doing now, but I get tired and bored of this quickly because it's not my favorite thing. OTP codes, input switches. So again, there's a lot of this I'm not going to use, but there's a lot of stuff in here. Toggle button, chips. We got that. Nice. Remove that. All sorts of different stuff there. Calendar control. Yeah. I've got a feeling I've seen this UI library used. It looks very familiar. Drop down. Hold on though. Selectivity. List box. Input text. Help text float label filled invalid. What's another list box? Oh, list box filter. Is that what I'm after? Group filter reactive basic. London. I don't like it being open though. There's no combo box. Autocomplete. There we go. That's the name. I like how it takes my text and just does that to it. Gives me a lot of options. That's pretty cool. Reactive forms. Drop down. There we go. Okay. So it's got the controls I need. So I think PrimeNG might be actually the one I'm going to use. Because again, it's got all this with it. And I've got two options, right? I can. They have some free templates as well. Well, one free template. I could take a template, spend $40. Have an out of the box experience, which wouldn't be the worst. Obviously, I'd have to pull the template apart, but it might actually get me moving further forward. Or I could, again, dark mode, menu type, slim plus, reveal, static, overlay, horizontal. Nice. You just move it around. That's pretty cool. Draw style. There you go. So it'll collapse down and pass out like that. That I like. I don't mind that. What's the ripple effect? I want to see the ripple effect. I mean, overall, I like how clean it is. Scale. Transparent. the flyouts. What is that? What is that actual control? Panel accordion. It's not that size. Maybe it is flyout. It's not a menu. Tab view, control disabled, stepper, scroll panel, splitter, panel toggleable. It's not a menu. This isn't a menu though. It's a flyout of some form. See if it's got his name in it. Sidebar, profile menu, sidebar. It's a sidebar. There you go, overlay. Because I do like the sidebar for that sort of stuff, for pop-ups and stuff. But again, with a comprehensive dialogue system, that's not the worst thing either. Over dialogue. Okay, so it's an overlay part. Template, again, yeah, we got dialogue width can be adjusted per screen size with breakpoints. Login can be customized, headless. Yeah, I think PrimeNG wins it in terms of layout and tools. And again, I don't have to mess around with CSS too much. If I get a template, well, it looks like it's pretty easy to construct as well, so maybe I don't need to. So get PrimeNG, worry about a template later. Again, I'm open for other suggestions if anyone knows of any of the libraries that are useful. Obviously, Sync Fusion would have been it. Other than that, Material, don't like Material. Nebula is still not terrible. I kind of like this style of Nebula. It's nice and chunky and readable. But PrimeNG can be scaled up, and it is also a lot more controls and a lot more flexible by the looks of it. Focus trap directive. Focus trap keeps focus within a certain DOM element while tabbing. Style class. Manages CSS classes declaratively to enduring. Okay. So it. Okay. Ooh. Ah. What does a terminal do as a control? Okay. Is that in case I need to introduce cheat codes and stuff into the application? Tags, progress bars, skeletons, scroll top. Meter groups. For charts, it looks like it just pulls in chart.js. So you import the thing and then you can pull chart.js together. which is pretty much the best idea there, right? In terms of not developing your own chart library. Okay, so next steps. What do we do? So let's have a look at the things I like, right? So on this one, library, show all, Asana. So from Asana, what I liked was let's have a look. Where was it? Asana. Oh, it's just it saves the apps and collections, and here's the actual things I liked about them. So the project detail thing on Asana is what I like the most, right? So I liked being able to go in and let's go to the prototype. So you go to overview, and when you get the overview, you get this right-hand side thing. So let's see if this sort of stuff is in Prime. I can't see why this would be the more difficult one, right? Because that is a design thing. Nothing that simple. It's not a form, it's not a button, it's more layout stuff. Timeline, there we go. Okay, so it does offer a timeline component, which is pretty cool, because you could then do that sort of stuff. Does it offer templated? Yeah, so timeline component is perfect. Because again, I think I'm going to use that sort of design to do if this is initiatives are going to have progress made, right? Progress is going to be the planning items. So when you go on an initiative, you see the progress, things that have happened against the planning items in that initiative, right? Again, the initiative summary, number of actual things, number of stories created. There's all sorts of metrics off there. Who's involved and what projects have been affected. There's all sorts of information about the initiative there. The list, again, I'm not doing this right now, but the list would be very much the list of planning items and potentially the stories that they spawned off. But again, that's for later. And yeah, then seeing down there, that's not the part I'm interested in. It's this part really. So that control is possible. The navigation down the left hand side, I definitely like the idea of this. These templates do support that. I probably won't start with a template. I'll probably do a bit of layout first. Maybe what we'll do is we'll build a template that uses a layout that uses the new controls, and then see. And then, things like cards and stuff, I haven't really decided upon that part. I probably should. On this one, I kind of like the filtering, right? The filtering was what picked me up on this one. It was like nice and clean. The workflow was nice. But that's a set of dialogues and drop downs and stuff like that. Those I can assemble. And again, going back to this, there's a dialogue is positionable, right? So I can say, okay, to the top, to the bottom, right? Templated. Hey, Thindle, how you doing? How are things today for you? Okay, so dialogues and stuff, I'm not too worried about. Overlay panels, again, yeah, this is the filtering, right? So I could use that for filtering. You can put controls in there, etc. So it offers the controls. I'm doing good. I'm continuing my design efforts, much to my own displeasure. This is not my strong point, but I think it's worth, like I said yesterday, it's worth doing. So I think I'm landing on PrimeNG as a UI library. It's a pretty nice library. It fits well with Angular, and there is a template. There is some templating available. They've been building it for a long time, so it's been around. It does support sorry for the flashbang. Not what I intended to do. What I intended to do there was this one, right? So you can actually use their own tool. Their site is built definitely using their own tools, which is nice. Can change the theme of everything. Lara. Condensed. So lots of flexibility in the styling of the application. So it's got the controls that I want to build, rather steal. So now planning items is the one thing that I need to kind of decide, what does that flow look like? So initiatives, I like this idea, right? If I pay the $50, whatever it is for this, I could actually get access to the UI kit controls, the Figma UI kit, and that way I get access to be able to build the UI the way I want in Figma, so I could do it that way. But I think I'll hold off on that for right this second until I get used to using things. So planning items. This is not a sensible view, right? It's not a sensible view because it's just too much information on the screen. This doesn't matter, right? If it's assigned to me, then maybe I have a default in here, but I'm not sure what this flow is really, right? Like, what is the closest workflow I know to this? So again, the idea is you can go into planning items, you can create a new planning item, right? You can filter planning items, and planning items will be organized per like in order of most recent review date or next review date first, right? So May 8th should come up above here and be past due. May 20th should be lower. May 14th is above there and is, past due. May 20th, May 24th, May 20th, May 20th, May 20th, right? So there's a bunch of things that need to be dealt with, right? So in Monday, you do have this grouping of just want to see the bigger screen. I don't want to copy it or whatever. So, but in Monday you have, and I can't hover over the image, talk about usability. I like the organization labeling, right? This month, next month. Maybe that is past due and upcoming, and then beyond. Maybe there's a timeline for that, right? So past due, obviously, things that need first review. Is a grid a good is a grid a good thing for listing there? What do I expect here? Well, I don't expect that much to be in here. Like, I don't expect dozens and dozens and dozens of items to be sat here all the time. But in the same, it is a view for displaying planning items. So you could say, hey, get me all the items that are 6 months out, or get me all the items that are, planned for the next month, or get me all the items that are past due and we haven't reviewed. So it's an ever expanding set. Ideally, most items you'd be showing would be closed, right? So that you wouldn't even show most of them by default. Yeah, I think this is the first challenge to really figure out. Fushnamal, hello, how you doing? Because as cards, they don't make sense. It doesn't make sense as cards because there's just too much information there, and this isn't a usable view, right? Again, I'm clicking on them and navigating through. That was the first thing, because this is the information you care about. And even these, let me see. Web, apps, CRM. What do I want to look at here? Customer Insights Platform. No, that's not the application I want to see. Nope. So, plan. The plan is come up with a workflow for this. Like, what do I want this to look like? I think, again, I do want it grouped by past due and upcoming. And upcoming would be anything within the next month, by default. Maybe grids. I think not there. I think in my initial Figma stuff. Yeah, I was tinkering with these ideas and saying, hey, you could transition between card view and this view. So again, the date that I show is not the date it was added. The date it was added doesn't actually matter very much from this perspective. What matters most is the review date. And it seems I've been going on thinking about this for 4 months, right? So this layout is obviously one that I was thinking about early on, navigation wise. Again, I don't think the heavy header and the greeny background with white panels works. I think what I'm probably best doing is actually figuring out something like, and let me size that down a little bit so it's not quite the flashbang, but right, this does have a light mode to it, right? And then I'll move that. Right, so there is a light mode to it. So if I can build something in from default, although this has this concept of the background color with the panel. Is it consistent? Yeah, it is. Nice. I don't like that when you have the float label, like if it floats up underneath that label. Looks cluttered. Autocomplete, calendars, chips, drop downs, multi selects. Yeah. I envy the developers who are very competent on the front end. Like really, really talented in terms of design and stuff. Because you can give, even if the back end isn't your strongest piece. Because I've noticed, I've looked around YouTube a lot. I've followed a lot of developers that do this sort of app development, and what they'll generally do is build pretty lightweight back ends, and the front end will look amazing, right? I just think I don't know if you can be fantastic at every single thing. But this uses that style, and then when you put it in dark mode, obviously that goes a little bit different. But the dashboard uses the cards like that. Was that what? I'm just going to put that back in light mode again. Okay, so the dark grey or light grey background with a white offset and the cards like that for dashboards, and then when it actually comes to content, yeah. Okay. So I think PrimeNG is going to be it. I think that's definitely going to be the library I use. It's got all the pieces I need. It can do everything. I just got to decide what that grid looks like. I don't like the Monday.com style. I like the grouping, and that's easy because I can use what are they? Steps, menus, overlays, panels, field set, splitter, divider, the accordion style, right? So that's kind of them. Template, yeah. So you can expand out. So I can change them around a little bit. There's nothing saying I can't make them look more like what I want. But they're accordion, so I could do past due and upcoming. Obviously, if there's nothing past due, then it just all lands there. Dividers. Field sets. It's pretty common stuff. Back to mobbing. So, I was saying earlier on, yesterday doing some of this, I actually got a downvote on YouTube. So only 50% of my audience by votes liked yesterday's content. But again, I'm trying to stream the development of this, and the development of this is now at this phase. I do need to spend a little bit of time thinking through those workflows so that I can make sure that I'm actually gathering the information I actually want. So we've gone through the effort of building out the little mind map, right? It says little mind map. It wasn't a little mind map. It was quite a lot of effort mind map. I have one or two browser windows open, right? So I've gone through this effort, tried to define these things. I know I know most of what this is intended to do at this point. So now it's kind of a case of just figuring out what do I want that to look like and what is my goal, what is my aim visually. And being that I have these components in place right now, redesigning this and building it out will be a little simpler once they get the framework in place. What I'm looking for right this second is kind of tools that give me that dog is impossible. Sorry, tools that give me the workflow that I'm after here. Prototypes. So you click on updates, you click on new update, mark it as at risk, leave an update, post update. Okay, that's the end of the prototype, but that is now tracked as a thing there. Not terrible. Are there any good tools you use that you like the flow of adding information to, or even listing information? Because again, this is I really wish this would zoom in. We have in progress and to do. These are kind of panels. Looks like you can hit add on them to add more items to them. The left navigation with the Hermie, thank you very much for the follow, by the way. Welcome in. This left navigation, I'm seeing that a lot with. It's quite common to have left navigation in most of these the productivity applications for certain. Having the idea of having the of using the panel for information purposes, right? So in this design right now, your teams, that looks very familiar, doesn't it? I would bet this is the same the same template for the core. I don't know if I want to put pieces in there. Sorry, I'm just watching. I think the dog might need something. Yeah, I'll be right back. I need to go look at the dog. Okay, sorry about that. Deflux, good morning. How are you? Did not. I failed to shout out Findle. If you are interested in this sort of content, .NET content in general, I suppose I haven't really ventured into the .NET stuff for this today's stream. The application is being built to support this as well, so there's a lot of development that goes on. The only reason I'm doing this UI stuff today is because, or the last couple of days, because I think it is really important to get. And unfortunately for me, this time is the only real window of time I get to work on any core development right this second. So, Deflux, you may or may not be pleased to see, kind of figured out a UI library that I want to use. Has a lot of controls, has the ability to have, I can buy a theme if I really must, has all the controls I need, and looks pretty easy to use. So, yeah. We'll be trying this. It looks pretty comprehensive in terms of it's got all the controls that I'm using so far, and will allow me to at least build the application how I feel. So what I'm looking at right now is kind of a bit of a mix. It's I want to look at how I'm going to lay this screen out. I think I've kind of landed on. I do want to group it by the type, i.e., the time window. I want to group it in things like past due and upcoming, and also narrow the window. I don't want to have something that's out in January 2025 out on this panel at all by default. So yeah, I don't like the colors. I don't like the all white is not something I want to aim for. I think I do like the idea of it, even on the light mode, having something like a very dark panel down here and maybe a dark panel at the top, and it kind of does frame out the application so pretty well to do that. So linear is not something I want to copy. Library. Let's just go to library because yeah, both Asana and so Asana uses the dark nav with a darker color background for the main part, but then does go into, I believe, lighter mode later on, right? So it uses again the dark panels. So even in a light mode, it is using. It's not all washed out. So I like that. Been taking a few notes today. The activity feed I like this activity feed down here on Asana. That's a initiative thing though. For planning items, you kind of have, maybe Asana does have some of this. Editing a chart, creating a new dashboard, adding a goal, connecting a project. Adding a project goal. That's setting the goals there. Not really something I want to deal with right second. Task detail, there we go. I think that's too cluttered in terms of space for planning items. And again, I'm talking about the landing page for planning items being this. Right now, this is way too much information. It's not really giving me any value. When I click into it, I'm practically showing the same thing again, and then repeating this. So what's the point in having this when the planning item, if I know the likelihood is I know what the planning item is I need to look at. I'm just going to click through into it anyway. So there's no point in pulling a lot of information in here, other than, you know, the title and the date, and maybe the description. Maybe the description helps, but created by, assigned to, and any other information is not really relevant to this. This date is the most important thing for this planning item, as it will drive whether I'm going to review it or not. And if I'm coming in here to work on something, then maybe I've got that. That's a good point. Right. Like, how do you stay organized, right? Because that's another challenge that I've noticed, is that PMs kind of have a lot on their plate and they're doing all different things. Then they maybe don't know to they don't know to keep track of something. So maybe that's something I have to consider as well. I lived in my apartment for 5 years. I've missed a lamp in the hallway. Today, I got it fixed. Progress. 5 years. Hey, knocking that to-do list down. That's all that matters. What the heck? Okay. We put dancing little figures in Asana, apparently. But yeah, I mean, keeping things moving forward is really what I'm aiming to do, right? It's so the flows, planning, Monday.com, the filtering flow is nice here. The project detail on Asana, this is more again for initiatives. I like that. I like the there's another app that I like the look of, and I can't. So productivity, data management for normies, the doc for everyone, people management software. Adding and creating workspaces, one-on-one workspaces, giving kudos, adding meeting agenda. No, that's the Slack style down the left-hand side there. I don't know. To me, that screen looks really cluttered. Welcome back, Mr. Jones. Hope you're well. Today's schedule. No, I don't need that. No, this is not the one I was thinking of. There was one that wasn't. Customer relationship, reflect, keep tracks of your thoughts, books. How's that a productivity app? Each to their own. Linear? No, this is what I was just looking at, right? Yeah, I was just looking at Linear. I don't know. So I suppose the next steps are kind of scary steps, right? The next steps are very much that doesn't hurt anything. Go through and batch projects in UI. Commit and push. So get this branch done. This matter's done. And then start refactoring that UI and get the library in there, right? So that's going to make a mess. So definitely want to be prepared for this, right? Installation, install PrimeNG, add the styles with Angular JSON, add the styles. So I picked my theme there. The style classes of PrimeNG are defined under the PrimeNG CSS layer to be easy to customize by having low specificity. If you're using a CSS library that styles default HTML elements such as Tailwind, Preflight, Bootstrap, Normalize, or similar, a custom CSS layer configuration will be necessary for compatibility. Oh. Each component can be imported individually so that you only bundle what you use. Animations. So it's relatively simple, and it should just slide right in. Again, I won't worry about the Figma thing right now. I think I get used to using the library. See if I can get some components laid out. Just kind of want to get an idea of data. Here we go. Data view. Maybe that's my planning items. Maybe that's it, where I just show the description and I mean, it'll look pretty bland, but sorting. But I'm not sure I need to have a massive data table. So, Deflux, you use Angular in your day-to-day? You still not got them over on Blazor? Although PrimeNG is the Angular version. Unfortunately, yes. So you use a superior framework for your day-to-day, but you choose to use a lesser framework on your part-time. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't like the idea of even if it's a large grid, it doesn't sit right for me to do this as a grid. But in the review date, the title, who it's assigned to, who created it might be relevant. I mean, this information right now is way too big. There's too much going on there. Ultimately, I want to kind of do this with a panel down the side, and I think that is. If I look up, what's the word? I must leave for work. Thank you for the stream. Apex, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Have a great day of work. What's the ticket tracking app I'm thinking of? Zendesk. There we go. So Zendesk, content, editing, updating. Oh, Zendesk is ticketing. Adding a ticket. Adding a ticket. So, adding a ticket workflow. Add ticket. Okay, that's great. Adding and assigning, adding tags, submitting a ticket, explore, ticket detail. Is ticket detail one of these things? I could have sworn this is one that displays things the way I'm thinking of. Okay. So tickets open. How do I create an account? Okay, so it's to the left here, but what I was thinking of is more when I open this, the details are down the right hand side. Actions, obviously requirements is not a a component on here. It's not a, like, I'm not creating a new planning item, so this looks weird. So I think this would be panels of some form. Again, I've got to figure out that layout. But what I'm doing here is I'm starting to realize that it is actually kind of important for me to figure out how I want this to work, to know what I actually want to ask for and what data I actually need. And that workflow will dictate my feature set, because I will know, oh, I need to collect this. Oh, this is a good idea. By building it visually, yes, it will take me a little longer to do it, but it's not. By coming up with the features off the back end, I'm limited in what I think I need data-wise. Whereas with the UI, I'm actually driving myself forward, and realistically, I'm trying to think, how am I going to use this? Because once I get this workflow in, it's actually usable as an application for me to do it, to build my own application off of. So that dogfooding becomes possible. It's just scary to do it this way, because it's just normally, again, that stuff's normally done for me. So we pull in, let's get this PR done. Attach projects in UI, display as tags under the title, commit anyway and push. Okay, so let's get to GitHub, repositories. Again, if you're new to the stream, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I'm more than happy to show the application in a little bit more depth. There's a lot of code in this, and I'm happy to go through it. We need tests. It's running unit tests, that's why I'm giving it time. Why that's taking so long, I have no idea. Yeah, I gotta fix some warnings in the application. Nine 71 26 8 453. Okay. Boo. I've recently given someone access and applied rule sets to make sure that that is protected. Yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, I protected the branches. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that on stream now because it might reveal information I don't want to reveal. But what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and get that done today so that tomorrow I will have PrimeNG installed and I'll start pulling apart the design as it stands. The workflows as they are right this second aren't going to really be affected, right? I just need to rebuild the UI for the login page that you know, and it's just, again, putting the components in place and replacing out the custom components and getting those in there. So it's going to take a little while to get up to speed with PrimeNG, but I think it's the right path at this point to spend this time, because it gives me the I will stop and consider my words. It will give me a set of controls. So again, no debate over that one in terms of the control set. But I will be able to try and better model some of the things I want to do. It should just be a swap out. I think things like this, I could just replace the components, right? And still have the slide out and just use a different panel. They could, but they do have that same concept in the PrimeNG library. I don't know. Do you as a user like that style? Do you prefer a pop-up, or do you prefer? Is this workable for you? I kind of like it because it sits in flow. It works when the button is over here, like it comes out on top. If the button's over here and it calls out there, it's not quite as easy. But then again, most of my buttons are to the right. But again, you've got to spend so much time kind of evaluating what are options for an application. It's pretty difficult. Okay, so I mean, I'll work on this more tomorrow. I do apologize for if this is more boring than usual. I do apologize. I appreciate the lurking though. You know, this is not a fun process to approach, but it is something that I think is definitely necessary. So I will return tomorrow. I will try and get as much of this done as possible. And in the meantime, we're going to go raid Fullbox because I'm going to go watch some games development for a while. Actually, I best check on that before I go and do that, because if he's stream will begin shortly, so he's not even started his stream. Awesome. This is not acceptable, Fullbox. Just starting, not finished. Oh, Fullbox is there. Okay, let's go raid Fullbox. I'll be back tomorrow. I will try and get as much of this stuff done as quickly as possible so we can get back to the actual core development. Again, if you're interested in any of the development stuff, you're more than welcome to join the Discord, and I'm happy to go over things in more detail. But if not, I will see you again soon. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care all. Bye.